You ever have one of those days where you look out over your life, everything feels steady, predictable, and then out of nowhere, someone bulldozes straight through the world you built as if your boundaries, literal and otherwise, mean nothing? Yeah, that was me the day I came home and found a gleaming new road poured right through my 5-acre meadow. Not on the edge, not even kind of close to the property line. No, this concrete monstrosity cut right through the heart of my land like it was a shortcut through a parking lot. You know what I mean? That kind of jaw-drop, blood pressure spiking moment that makes you question if you're dreaming or if you've just become the unwilling star of a really stupid reality show. Back up a sec. Because none of this started with a road, but with a dream. I'd spent years scraping and saving for those 5 acres next to my house, picturing wild flowers in the spring old oaks swaying in the breeze, a quiet pond out back where the deer might wander in at sunset. I wanted a house set back from the road, a big, messy garden, a place I could hand down someday, something that felt like legacy, not just property. It wasn't about flipping land or making a buck. This was the spot I'd plant myself and grow old. The only hitch was the neighbor. You know the type, the kind of person whose grass is so manicured you'd swear they iron it every morning. Her house, all columns and boxwood, sat right up against my line. I'd barely had the deed in my hands a week when she came marching over, not with a pie or a welcome to the neighborhood, but with a notepad full of opinions and a face like she'd smelled something foul. Apparently, my wildflower meadow was weeds, and those weeds would bring pests to her perfect world. She made it clear she'd prefer I mow it all down, plant turf, and get with the program. I shrugged it off. Everyone's got their quirks, right? If only I'd known what she was capable of when left unsupervised. A couple months later, work sent me overseas for a month. I figured, what's the worst that could happen to a patch of land while I'm gone? It's just grass and trees. Turns out the answer is a 150-foot-long answer poured in gray concrete snaking right from her backyard across my meadow to the place where she was building a new workshop. The thing was professionally finished with expansion joints and all. I parked my truck and just stared. I mean, it was almost impressive, the audacity. My land, my sanctuary, turned into her construction access like she owned the whole damn county. So I do what you do. I took 1,000,000 photos, walked the length of it, and tried not to lose my mind. Then I went to her house. She opened the door with this huge grin like she was inviting me to a barbecue. She called it an improvement project, said I should be grateful that she'd added value. She actually wanted me to split the bill for her unauthorized road like we were business partners or something. When I told her she had to rip it out, she got frosty real fast, told me to talk to her lawyer, and slammed the door. Now, I'd dealt with pushy people before, but this was Olympic-level entitlement. It was obvious she wasn't going to listen to reason, so I called in a surveyor. Turns out the road wasn't just a little over the line. It was entirely on my property, every inch of it. Next step, a lawyer. The guy actually laughed when I explained it, called it the cleanest case of trespass I've ever seen. We sent a demand letter. Her lawyer hit back with some noise about a prescriptive easement and accused me of harassment. Meanwhile, she started telling everyone in the neighborhood that I was some lawsuit-happy troublemaker who didn't get how things are done. But my attorney was crafty. Instead of suing right away, he suggested I call code enforcement. See, the road had been built without a permit. The city sent me an official notice. Technically, I was on the hook to remove the illegal structure since it was my land. My lawyer loved that. Now I had a court order to demolish the road and bill her for it. So I did what anyone would. I hired the noisiest, most expensive demo crew I could find. For a whole week, jackhammers echoed through her perfect little palace, concrete dust swirling. It was glorious. About halfway through, I got this wild idea. What if I kept the rubble? The city just said the road had to go, nothing about hauling it away. So I had the crew stack those broken chunks right along the surveyed property line, a 4-foot-high wall of pure spite, jagged, ugly, impossible to ignore. The wall of folly, as I started calling it. It blocked her view, made her McMansion feel like a fortress, and best of all, it was 100% legal. My land, my rules. Soon as the noise died down, I reseeded the area, planted wildflowers, and watched as my meadow slowly reclaimed itself, except for that stubborn line of concrete. My lawyer filed suit for the cost survey, demolition, restoration, and a little extra for the headache. The judge didn't hesitate. She granted every cent, over $50,000. Watching my neighbor's jaw drop in court. Priceless. Word got out, of course. Neighbors started telling me their own stories about her. Apparently my wall became a legend. She tried to sell her house, but nobody wanted it with that ugly slab in the backyard. She dropped the price, dropped it again, finally sold at a huge loss. Poetic justice, right? The kicker is the new folks who moved in, nicest people you could meet. Loved the privacy, loved the wildflowers, thought the folly wall was hilarious. Turns out the husband was a landscape architect. He asked if he could feature my property in a magazine article about native landscaping and property boundaries. Soon enough, students were coming by on field trips, and my accidental fortress became a living fence tangled in vines and birdsong. And you know what? The court case set a local precedent. My lawyer says it's now cited every time someone in the county gets ideas about pouring concrete where it doesn't belong. Even got the attention of a documentary filmmaker who wanted to feature me in a story about standing up for your rights. Wild right, all from one neighbor's refusal to ask permission. If you'd asked me back at the start whether I'd want any of this drama, I'd have said no way. I just wanted to build my house and mind my own business. But looking back now, the mess forced me to learn my rights, to fight for what mattered, to connect with a community of people who respect boundaries, not bulldoze through them. The wall's still there now, covered in flowering vines, home to birds and butterflies. People ask if I regret not working something out with my old neighbor. Not for a second. Actions have consequences. Sometimes being the bigger person just means making sure those consequences stick. If you ever find yourself with a pile of trouble dumped on your land, maybe, just maybe, you can turn it into your own kind of masterpiece. So, what do you think, folks? Was I right to take it all the way, or should I have tried to compromise? Ever had a neighbor cross the line literally or figuratively? Drop your stories and your thoughts below. Let's talk justice, boundaries, and what it really means to stand your ground.